Good morning and welcome to the program Perspectives. Perspectives this morning on Invicta 98.9. And this morning we'll be looking at the administration that's talking about Bola Ahmed's administration on economics. And we're looking at how it has been 3 years going now, and we're still counting with it. What has happened to the economy? And are we getting the kind of improvement that we would want? Nigerians today are crying that things are really hard and bad too, for that matter. We know that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has come up with a lot of reforms that will shore up the economy, and of course to see that it gets better for Nigerians. But he has also said something about all of these reforms that he has put in place, that the pains will come, but the gains will come after. So are Nigerians really ready to take the pains, and for how long? And of course, again, when will the gains begin to come? We'll look at all of these. And this morning, I'm talking with Professor LAWAL ADEDOYIN Ishola. He is a professor of economics and chair occupier of the UBA Professional Chair of Finance, University of Lagos. He'll be putting on his thoughts on the economy and what improvements we're seeing since this administration came on board. Professor Adedoyin Lawal, good morning. I'm glad to have you with us on Invicta 98.9.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, we all know that since this administration came on board, some things were put in place that Nigerians are saying so unbearable as it is now. Food in the market is becoming a thing that Nigerians are saying that never have we had it this bad. The administration has introduced some reforms that Nigerians are saying that this has never happened, but it's happening now. And so here's what opposition is, really, campaigning on. Opposition is telling Nigerians that it is about Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reforms, that it is really, not good for Nigerians. And so shouting to high heavens that Nigeria must, take this administration out and bring in the opposition. But again, some public analysts will say that never have we had a president that has been bold enough to to face Nigeria as it is and say that some things must be put in place. We see that when Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board, what he first did on his first day assumption of office was that the fuel subsidy must go, that Nigerians cannot continue with that. That went up. Now, we saw that this administration also came up to say that there must be, autonomy for local government. We saw that. We're also seeing tax reforms. This administration introduced tax reforms, and that is still going on. And of course, we're talking about state police as it is today, and we're talking about, some moves that this administration is making to say to make sure that Nigeria stands on its own. We are seeing policies that are saying that Nigeria must look inwards, that it must be about Nigeria now and not about what it can get. And we're also seeing this administration doing a lot of borrowing. And Nigerians are asking, borrowing for what and borrowing for who? All of these are questions being asked about this administration and how it is going about it. 32 governors, or 31, some would say, are on the side of this administration, have moved in, with the APC, the ruling party. And so, where does it leave opposition? And some are saying that opposition is in disarray and not getting ourselves together about how you can take out this administration. Now, a professor of economics, Professor Adedoyin, I'm asking the question, the economic reforms of this administration and how Nigerians are taking the pains, for how long can this go? And these reforms that we're seeing being introduced, what are they doing and what are we seeing as, what can happen to this country in the future with the Bola Ahmed administration?
All right. Thank you for a very long question and analysis that you just presented. Let me establish the fact that in economics, we see economic issues from 3 points of view. That we have 3 economic agents. We have individual households, we have the firm, and we have the government. And then it is the aggregation of these that made up the macroeconomy. Now, the government is essentially established to provide atmosphere for prosperity, shared prosperity in the land. And then since 2023, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over power, there have been a lot of reforms that he has introduced, and each of them has their own consequences. While we have the positive one, and then there are questions begging for answer as to the success of those reforms. Now, let's examine the strength of this administration, and then we will now talk about their negative reports. So I will present to the public. I'm not a politician, I'm an economist. And as an economist, I will deal with facts and data. So I want us to look at it from that perspective. Now, let's begin with economic stabilization. According to publicly available figure, the decline in inflation. Inflation dropped from over 30% at its peak in 2024 to approximately 14.4%, between 14.4% and 15.1% in early 2026. This indicates that tighter monetary policy are finally cooling down price spike. Then after that, now we now talk about revenue windfall. The moving fuel subsidy has helped the country to save about 52 trillion naira expenditure for 2026 alone. That accounts for about 76% of the entire national budget, and you know the implication. Without that, without removing fuel subsidy, analysts believe that probably Nigeria will have been bankrupt by now. Then foreign reserve strength. Our internal reserve hit 7 years high of about between 47 to 49 billion US dollars. This shows a strong buffer against global shock, and then it stabilized the naira below 1400 naira. Now, when we now look at infrastructure, land association, let's go to land association intervention. Student loan. As of April 2026, over 1.38 million students are benefited from National Education Loan Fund, with about 244.4 billion disbursed, 244.2 billion naira disbursed. So, though these students, some say, oh, without the loan, they will have been in school. But I want to believe that the student loan is a cushion effect and the big major strength of this administration. So give it to them. Then consumer credit and tax relief. The government implemented tax exemption for 98% of low-income earners, ensuring that the poorest are shielded from tax net, while raking about 3.36 trillion from higher earners and corporate reforms. Now, the implication is that a number of Nigerians are now, a good number of the poor in the country are exempted from tax. If you are earning below 800,000 per annum, that is those in minimum wage below minimum wage, they're exempted from paying tax. This is the major success of this administration. Then we now move to massive infrastructure and diversification. Transportation boom. FDI into the transport sector surged by over 600% in 2025-2026. And this is driven largely by Lagos Green Line Rail. You know, and a nationwide highway expansion. I believe you are aware of the Coastal Calabar Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. There's another one from Lagos Sokoto. So those massive infrastructural projects, it shows that, and then you cannot separate development. You cannot separate infrastructural development from actual growth. Dubai or United Arab Emirates today became what it is today because the leader of that economy opened up the economy through infrastructural development. When we were constructing artificial people, people believed, a number of persons in the Arab world believed that they were wasting money. But today, through tourism and transportation, they are able to attract the global economy, the global economic player to their economy. So infrastructure, what Tinubu is doing in terms of infrastructure is laudable. Then we now talk about solid mineral revolution. Give it to the Minister of Solid Mineral, Alaki. The sector contributes about 1.8% to GDP. I mean, it contributes about 79% year on year to GDP in 2025 alone. So there was a massive reformation in that sector. Then energy transition. Dangote refinery is now fully operational, meeting domestic demand and handling the multi-billion-dollar drain of importing refined petroleum. So some person might say, that Dangote refinery is a private entity. Then you see, without government support, all of us know the politics, the drama that play around Dangote and government intervention. That enforcing that that industry, that factory was supported by the government, and at least the large extent is contributing significantly to growth in Nigeria. Now, there is this other one that appears controversial: security and agricultural resilience. Despite this biting insecurity in Nigeria, data available shows that agricultural exports exceeded $3.2 billion in 2025 alone. That shows that with the use of technology and mining machines, we're able to sustain 18 consecutive months of expansion in the agricultural sector. So we give it to the president because all of us will agree that, it is the security of life and property of citizens is the responsibility of government. But it is obvious that insecurity in Nigeria did not just start with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So we give it to him then. Then internal security modernization. If you take a look at the 2026 budget, about 5.41 trillion naira was allocated to defense and security. As a matter of fact, security and social welfare account for about 20% of the total budget of Nigeria. So you give that to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on that one. Now, if you now, having said that, now let's look at the other side of the book. First, let me begin with what we call paper plate paradox. What do I mean by paper plate paradox? On paper, the economy is booming. As a matter of fact, IMF said, if you check the global report now, Nigerian is at the 19th. When you look at PPP, that's purchasing power parity indicator, Nigeria is number 19th most developed or the robust GDP in the world. Nigeria is the largest 19th most developed or favored GDP in the world. If you use the PPP purchasing parity metrics, but in reality, the number of poverty, persons that plunge into poverty under this administration is enormous. Since, in fact, it has never been. I think we have over 140 million Nigerians in abject poverty. So that tells you that when you look at the on paper, Nigeria is doing fine, but in reality, the plate, basket of food available what you can buy, what you were eating before as a household, what you are eating now, you will know that there is a wide gap between that and reality on ground. I don't know maybe I'm communicating. Then the next one I want us to consider is the issue of a jobless growth. IMF projected 4.1% growth for 2026, but unemployment remains stuck near 22.6%. So you are expressing growth, but there is growth does not translate to employment. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the usual index of Nigeria suggests that about between 53 to 55% of Nigeria has a usual index of between 53 to 55%. That's less flat. And we are one of the, I think we are the highest in the African sub-region in terms of usual index. And usual index is a combination of unemployment, inflation rate, and the cost of living, but majorly inflation and unemployment. So we say that the government growth is concentrated in capital-intensive sector like fintech, like finance and technology. Jobs. They don't create money jobs. So the growth projection of Nigeria is largely driven by fintech. And fintech, there's an relationship between fintech and labor intensity. So I think our government needs to look at that one now. The government has failed to revitalize manufacturing and agricultural sector. You know, we said agriculture accounted for about $3.2 billion exports. But if you check it very well, it is technology-driven agriculture. And with technology-driven agriculture, you need more capital, but less labor. And Nigeria is a labor-intense economy because we have population. So what you'll be thinking of is how to engage this youth. And that also snowballs into unemployment and insecurity. So that's that on that one. So the next one I will talk about is insecurity as economic policy failure.
We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you serious? Invicta FM.
Da abin da kuke yi muna ganin ƙoƙarinku cikin iyali kuna nuna so muna jin daɗin hakan. Power oil muna nan da ku mun tsaftace dukkanin ɗigo akan 200 naira mu haɗu mu yaɗa soyayya. A duk sanda ka yarda da mu a gurin yi muna ganin ku shi ne ya samu kayo na 200 sashe sai da ku. Kuna dalilin wannan tsari mai sauki ku more wannan sachet akan 200 naira. Za ku samu Power Oil Mini Pack sachet akan 200 naira.
Power Oil, Power Oil.
Yana da daɗi, da ɗanɗano tare da Cremella. Ga sauƙi, yana da daɗi a kunu ko shayi.
Yi nishaɗin ɗanɗano mai arziki da daɗi na Cremella Crema, cikakke don babban ɗanɗano a shayi, koko, kofi da sauran zaɓin abinci.
Ya fi daɗi da ɗanɗano tare da Cremella.
Ƙara ɗanɗano da Cremella.
Ojiyabba shakata wajen more kira da naira 100 ka salamu kuɗin ka sai MTN da kuna samun matsala wurin kira dan ba ku da kati to ko sauki ya samu in ka sa naira 100 zaka samu naira 400 a layin MTN domin shiga tsarin ku sa naira 100 sannan ku danna tauraru 889 hash za ku iya amfani da shi cikin kwana ɗaya. Shakata da tsarin MTN G's Plus don more kira sharuɗa da ka'idoji sun shafi wannan.
Oh yeah now, time to run your money correct. Download Bill Station for iPhone and Android, no dolly, or waka go to billstation.com, sharp. Bills, transfer, everything they one place.
Make you get rewarded instanta when you use the referral code BISAN. When you download the Bill Station app, make you enjoy exclusive bonuses plus cash prizes wey fit reach up to 5K. No dolling, make you download now.
Bill Station, money no go stress you again.
My friend, time na money.
Ɗaki da farfajiyan kicin.
Gabatar muku da sabon jig na jaka. Yanzu fararen tufafinka za su yi haske da sheki da kuma kiyaye kashi 99.9 na kwayoyin cuta a farfajiya da sauran wurare. Kawai ka jika da jig na jaka.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development and the care they need with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics to help your child's digestion and development, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. And all of these work together to support your child's development and growth today and tomorrow. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
Invicta FM.
Yaɗa jita-jita da labarin ƙanzon kurege ci yake kamar wutan daji cikin al'umma, wanda kuma baya haifar da komai sai koma bayi da tabarbarar da zamantakewar mu, ya cusa tsana da ƙiyayya a tsakanin mu, furta kausasan kalamai ta fuskan addini ko ta siyasa da ma al'ada yana taka gagarumin rawa wajen haifar da tarzoma. Don haka mu zamo 'yan ƙasa na gari masu gina tubalin zaman lafiya ba masu rusa ta ba ta hanyar tantance labari kafin yaɗawa. Sannan duk abin da kasancewa kana da shakku a kai ka bar shi, kada ka bari wasu su yi amfani da kai wajen tada zaune tsaye. Mu haɗu mu rungumi gaskiya, mu watsar da jita-jita domin inganta zaman lafiyarmu da yauƙaƙa zamantakewan da ke tsakaninmu. Tantance labari kafin yaɗawa shine cikar kamala. Wannan sako ne daga cibiya mai rajin kare demokaradiyya da cigaban al'umma, wato Center for Democracy and Development.
Haba talle, ragin kuɗin yashi? Menene a duniya da baka neman ragi?
Akwai abu daya, wato tsarin tazarar haihuwa.
Ban gane ba.
Saboda shi kadai ne kyauta. Mado, duk lokacin da na je asibiti da iyalina dangane da tsarin tazarar haihuwa to kyauta ne, ko dai a caji kuɗi kalilan.
To ko shine dalilin lakabinka na tallatushen tattali?
Hakika ina iya taya komai, amma banda tsarin tazarar haihuwa.
Ikon Allah, ya dace ka sani a hanya.
Ba komai, sai mu fara daga ragin kuɗin yashin nan tukunna.
Ziyarci cibiyar lafiya mafi kusa domin farawa, ko a kira lambar waya 222 wannan sako ne daga ma'aikatar lafiya tare da tallafin gamayyar kungiyoyin ADEPRONET da FEM.
Kyautuwar iyali, uba, 'ya'ya da ma'uwa.
Mai gida, zo ka ji yadda jaririn ke motsi a cikina.
In ji? Lallai, da alama wannan na da ƙarfi sosai.
Mana, da wa kake gani zai yi kama?
Da ni mana.
A'a, da ni wannan zai yi kama.
To wanda zai zo bayan wannan zai yi kama da ke.
Tabɗi, to har yaushe zan jira wancan ya zo?
Kamar shekara 2 haka.
Kaga a lokacin na samu ƙwarin jiki.
Tattaunawa tsakanin ma'aurata yana da muhimmanci. Mu tattauna.
Mama, sai kin gan yadda na wanke ban ɗakin nan. Yawon ku sosai fa.
Tabbas, zai iya wankuwa sosai a ido. Amma idan ba da hypo toilet cleaner kika yi amfani ba wajen kariya, to ban ɗaki cike yake da ƙwayoyin cuta baja-baja.
Haka ne, kada ku yarje wa ƙwayoyin cuta, ku kare ban ɗakin ku kullum da hypo toilet cleaner.
Kalli wani kunshi, wannan shi nake kira gida ya cika.
Mana, aini ce na cika.
Ho ho ho. Wane ne yake maganar ki? Ni ina maganar paketin madarar Peak Yogurt wanda yake a hannunki ne.
Aha! Muna gabatar da lita 1 na paketin madarar Peak Yogurt. Wato Peak Yogurt Drink 1 liter Full House Pack. Tare da tsarin armashi da ke kunshe cikin tatacciyar madarar saniya. A rarrabawa mutanen gida kowa ji daɗi. Tare da samun moriyar isasshen vitamin da yake ciki.
Peak. Reach for your peak.
Invicta FM.
Welcome back. Still with the program Perspectives this morning. It's coming to you on Invicta 98.9 here in Kaduna. And this morning I'm talking with a professor of economics. He is head of department of the BOWEN University in Iwo in Osun State. Professor ADEDOYIN LAWAL putting his thoughts on the economic reforms as we're seeing it with the present administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, Prof, what we're getting is that the president, as we see him, is a bold man, and he has come out to say that he is not scared about what opposition is coming up with. But again, we're asking the question, with all that he is doing to shore up the economy of the country, how is that translating? And you mentioned that before we went on the break. How is that translating to the to the people? Is it doing well for the people? And why is opposition hammering on that now that this administration has never done well or is not doing well for the people? And so the people must have a think and take away the present administration. For you, the opposition, as it's coming up and telling Nigerians, do Nigerians really know that this administration is working so hard to take Nigeria out of the woods as we're seeing it today? Hello, Prof.
Hello, okay. I simply hear you.
Okay.
But I was talking about I've spoken about the strengths, and then I was talking about the weak side that I think government should look into. I don't know.
Yes.
Do I go ahead?
Yes, so yes, go ahead. But I'm saying that with all this administration is doing to really take Nigeria out of the woods and shore up the economy, how is the Nigerian people seeing all of these? Because what we're saying and what Nigerians are talking about is that we're seeing pains, unbearable pains, and it's all caused by the policies of this administration. So how do you explain that to the people with so much that this administration is doing?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Like I was saying, it's always good that we look at the strength, then we look at the weakness, and so that we're able to identify what to do to help solve the challenges, which more or less the weakness of the administration. And I talked about the paper plate paradox, stating that though government touts about 15% inflation rate, down from about 30% in 2024, the World Bank report shows that the poverty rate has actually climbed to about 53%. So that suggests that probably macroeconomic stability is on paper only. The cost of basic staples remains unaffordable for roughly about 140 million Nigerians. Now, the next thing is the education time bomb. Though the government counts that 1.38 million Nigerians have accessed student loans, and without which they won't be able to have affordable education, it is on record that about 24 million people drop out of school between primary and secondary school in Nigeria. And Nigeria still has the world's largest or highest number of out-of-school children, more than 30 million. And this is essentially because of government failed to provide adequate security for schools and economy to support families. So the implication is that the government is creating a lost generation. Remember the late stage, Awolowo said the children of the poor that you fail to educate today will constitute nuisance to your children in the future. So the implication, you see, Boko Haram insecurity is thriving in the north because there's a wide gap of neglected youth. And then we have never had out of school children in these volumes in the past. So the implication is that in the next 10, 15, 20 years, if care is not taken, if these issues are not addressed, God forbid that they turn to Somalia. So I've talked about jobless growth, that though the government is touting that it has provided more what's called now job, it is obvious that the economy is not responding in terms of persons employed. Then the next one is insecurity as an economic policy failure. Because of insecurity, because of economic failure, or because of insecurity, there's a bi-directional relationship between security and economic failure. Because government fails to secure the people who are neglected choose arm. And because people choose arm, economy is failing. So there's a functionality between these. So the government is failing to address insecurity, and this insecurity continues to drive food insecurity for more than 33.3 million people. So the next one is fiscal extravagance versus public hardship. Why the government is telling the citizens to tighten up their belts? Government appears to be on indifferent in terms of adopting austerity measures. Government appears to be too large. See convoy of government officials. I don't know how true is it, but I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we saw a video circulating where it was allegedly that the CEO of our fire service was in convoy. The guy is just a civil servant, probably a dead, say a public servant. And see the number of SUVs, see the convoy. Those convoys will run on fuel. They will run on fuel. They will run on allowances. Not talk of the cost of acquiring those convoys. So that tells you. So there's a disconnect between what government is preaching that people should exercise some patience, endure, and what persons in government are doing. And that's why you see now that most of all this opposition, those people that spoke against the president in the last election, all of them are finding their way to go and partake on the national cake, thinking that you can't beat them, you get them. So I think to me, it's not a good thing for the government. So we can go on and on, try to explain some of these disconnects when we talk about the failure of government, and then these are the strengths. But I believe that by and large, there is hope for Nigeria.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And Prof, one of the things, again, that we've seen with the removal of the fuel subsidy was that right now, and as we're talking, what the states gets from the Federation account is huge. And so we ask the question, and because all pointers are on the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu not doing well, and for Nigerians, and Nigerians will say they are going through all pains. But what they get from the removal of the fuel subsidy, what the states get, can you translate all of that to what we're seeing in states in terms of development and, of course, taking care of their people in the states? Is anything really working here to show that with so much money that it gets from the states, it's not being translated in improving the lives of the people?
Yeah. You see, that is also a dicey aspect. Now, you see, government remove fuel subsidy without consulting subnational. The federal government, the central government, remove fuel subsidy without consulting the subnational. And then it has a negative implication. You see, when we talk about debt, most of all these subnationals, that is states, they've acquired debt in foreign denominated currency. So, let's assume that they acquired debt when the official rate was 450 naira to $1 pre-2023 exchange rate unification and fuel subsidy removal. Now, you agree with me that at a point, dollar exchange rate moved to about 1,950 naira to $1. So imagine a state, let's say that borrowed money in dollar-denominated platform, let's say $1 million, for instance. And $1 million in 2022, pre-2023, May handing over were most about 450 million naira in debt service in that. That subsidy will pay. Now you remove fuel subsidy and dollar moved to about 1,000. It's about 1,400 now. But at the point it was 1,950. So let's just say average of 1,500. So that means what they will pay is almost times 4. What they will pay in debt is almost times 4. for what they ought to have paid. So whatever you give them as windfall from fuel subsidy would typically go into debt servicing. That's on the one hand. Now, you agree with me that Nigeria is largely an import-oriented country. We import virtually everything except ourselves. So, and this importation you pay in foreign currency. So, if a project will cost, let's say, 400 million under the whole regime, before unification of the exchange rate regime, now that same project that will cost 400 million, 450 million in that old regime will now cost nothing less than 1.5 billion. You see the margin. So whatever you say you give them, on the one hand, through fuel subsidy windfall, you are taking it again with the other hand by unification of the exchange rate. So it's a complex policy mismatch that it's easier for government now, the central government, to say, don't have the state government. Where's the money? But because the state government, they are more or less like puppets. They dare not, they agree with me that there's no strong opposition. And one of them will come and tell us that the money you gave us, yes, truly you gave us the money, but what's the value of the money? And don't forget that we have this endemic Nigerian factor, that's called corruption. So those are the factors that are. And then if you now check, another thing is insecurity. About more than 30 states in Nigeria are currently under the siege of insecurity. The Northwest is not safe. We have about 7 states here. None of them is safe. There's crisis from one place to the other. Northeast is not safe. North Central is not safe. And then Southeast, they have their own problem of sit at home. Thank God some of them are trying to resolve them. So it's only those areas that you can, it's only probably in some part of Southwest that you can say, oh, because of Amotekun and the likes, that is relatively safe. So, and if there is insecurity, like for instance now, Benue, Plateau are the food basket of Nigeria. Benue, Plateau, Nasarawa, Taraba, there is insecurity there. Farmers cannot go to farm. So you know that the implication is that there will be food inflation. And then, so most of all these state governments are now running what we call palliative economy, or right living economy, because they believe that let's first of all address hunger. So it is a complex scenario that you can't just know, I'll give you money for fuel subsidy windfall, but you create more problem for them. So that's what I want us to, have understanding as well.
Yes, okay, Prof. With the strength that opposition is coming with, because of all of these things, insecurity, hammering on insecurity, hammering on food prices in the market, and hammering on the pains that Nigerians are going through, does it have a good stand, of really telling this administration that it is not doing well for this country, and so the people have a reason to want to take out this administration? Do you see the opposition creating an alternative from what this present administration is giving Nigerians?
Well, you see, I'm an economist. I don't want to dabble into politics. There's a group of economists called political economy.
Okay.
And which I believe that at least I've done some work on that. See, in my opinion, these oppositions appear to be incompetent.
Incompetent?
They are incompetent, yeah. And I have my point. If you give me time, I will explain.
Okay.
They are working against a master strategy. In the history of Nigerian politics, I'm not a fan of Tinubu, but I'm here to see any strategist like Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I give them my point now. Check the opposition. The leader of the supposed opposition, that's Atiku Abubakar, set a political trajectory, and that's of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Bola Ahmed Tinubu understands is a master of the book, okay, law of power, a master of the book, master manager, a master of the book, act of war. And you could see all these things play out in his action. In the first instance, Ahmed Tinubu wanted to be president of Nigeria, but he brought in Buhari, supported Buhari with all the ills of Buhari. He waited patiently, and then he became. Now, you understand that the dynamics of Nigerian politics, the power sharing between the North and the South. When even Buhari was at the point of death, Ahmed Tinubu waited to allow Buhari to even complete his 8-year tenure to satisfy the North. Now, Atiku is the leader of the opposition. Instead of, if Ahmed Bola Tinubu has contested against Buhari and Goodluck Jonathan contested along with them, then Goodluck Jonathan would have still won. None of them would be. Neither Buhari nor Tinubu would have become president. But now let's look at Atiku Abubakar. Atiku Abubakar does not understand the simple ethics that governs political power. Talking about all his years in running, it's one thing for you to win party tickets. It's another thing for you to win general election. When you win, how do you win general election? You win general election by harmonizing, strategizing, having handshake with persons that you competed with in primary, so that they will come on board and work with you. He lost 2023 election because he had issue with Wilson Wiki, the G5. Now, in his new ADC, he granted an interview last week on Arise TV, where he watered down, he maltalked his contemporary in the ADC. He said he's the one in charge of the North. He controls the northern coast. Atiku Abubakar had 4.9 million votes in the North. Bola Ahmed Tinubu had 6.2 million votes in the North. So who controls the North? He now reduced others that Peter Obi influence is only limited to Southeast. He forgot that Peter Obi won Lagos, Peter Obi won Abuja, Peter Obi won some North Central states. So he reduced Kwankwaso to Kano. Except Kwankwaso had only one state, Kano, and even there's no fallout from his with his governor. He forgot that 1 million votes of Peter, 1.4 million votes of Kwankwaso plus 6.1 million votes of so it is more than enough to defeat his own 6 million. So he reduced Tambua to Sokoto. I'm sure that as El-Rufai showed interest in running, he will have reduced him as well. So that is the guy. The guy failed to learn from the mistake of 2023. 2023 will have just picked Wilson Wike as running mate. And Wike will have more value to his history than what Okodua, the guy from Delta State, did. So that's on the one hand. Now, on Amechi has come out to tell us that all these people that are championing, that Atiku Abubakar said he has the vote of the North, he has that one. He said the entire ADC registration is just less than 3 million. So where are those guys that he says are his core followers? And that also sends signals to be as well, the obedience. Now the obedience are bent on the fact that Obi or nothing. Yeah, I understand that there's a similarity between Obi and Kwankwaso. That Kwankwaso has agreed to be Obi's running mate. If the two of them team up, but I don't see them, sliding well in ADC. I think it's better they go and join this guy, former Bayelsa State governor in NDC. And even at that, the guy they are coming to contest, to compete against, is a master strategist. This is a guy that, against all opposition, he won the 2023 election. And everybody understands Tinubu that Tinubu keeps to his promise. He rewards persons that work for him. This is the first time in history, in the recent history of Nigeria, that INEC chairman, immediate INEC chairman, is given ambassadorial position. So everybody knows that Tinubu does not need to tell you that read for me. Everybody knows that if you start and work with him, he's going to compensate you. And every politician is a political animal that has his own interest. Talking about all this media jamboree, that I have 31 governors cannot say this. Governors are the ones that will form political parties. Nigerians typically, an average Nigerian an average Nigerian voter electorate on the day of election, if the government decide, if APC, the ruling party, decide to grease the hand of these people, Nigerians will vote for them. Fayose was being fined in the Kiti state. He thought he had the control of the people. Yes, they didn't rig him out. They just settle the people. And people voted against him. It was after the election result that they realized what they done. Tinubu that was not in power and became the president in 2023. Forget all this media, all this jamboree that they are doing. It is difficult for them to win in out of power. Tinubu is not good on Jonathan. Some of them, okay, now, and I'll give you another instance. They were lying that there was about 4 or 5 months ago, they were saying that there was a Trump intervention. Trump intervened, and then, by the time the first lady met Trump was even singing her praises. That tells you that these people are smart. Of all of them, none of them has a wife that is as exposed, as sophisticated politically like Tinubu. The same party before that they had against him was Muslim ticket in 2023. And I can tell you now that the Muslim ticket of Tinubu is not a threat to Christianity in Nigeria, because you can't give any evidence that he has used this thing against Christians. So it's become very difficult for any opposition to beat him. I'm not ruling out that they can't win, but the chances of Tinubu winning is higher than the chances of any opposition winning him. Number one, those opposition are not united. All of them have vested interest. Number two, this man has contributed his effort and energy, and can assure you that Trump will not work against Tinubu. Both of them are traditional positions. They can negotiate. So 2027, I want to believe that it's more or less in the case of Tinubu. Giving all the evidence before us is very difficult. The economy can pick up. One of the main issues that people are clamoring is the economy, and they are just what Tinubu just did what Cardoso is doing in the monetary sector. He just need somebody that would drive that in fiscal and trade sector. Cardoso has demonstrated expertise in driving monetary policy. For instance, now he has been able to tame inflation, and then so people say it on paper that at the same time he has demonstrated by attracting foreign portfolio investment in Nigeria, which is the highest in the history. So that shows that the guy is doing something meaningful. So he just need somebody in the fiscal policy environment that will drive growth as well. And then just help the manufacturing sector. Give them incentives that will help them grow, and then there will be massive employment. That's all. By 2020, the next 6 months, people will the music will change. So that's my remember, I'm not a politician, I'm not a political scientist, but as a political economist, I can tell you that the chances of Tinubu losing is slimmer than the chances of opposition winning. I don't see any opposition.
All right. Just before we get to the hour, 10 o'clock, Prof, I still want to put this across to you, and because you started mentioning it, the people are the center of it all. So, what would be, the real take of 2027 politics? Will it be about, if it's centered around the people, would it be about what we have known with politics in Nigeria, the stomach infrastructure, the religion, and the divides of Nigeria? Will it play a part come 2027?
Well, 2027 is going to be a new, it's going to be, the politics is dynamic. But from the look of things, 2027, I don't see, the position are not strong. Forget all those noise that they are making that Tinubu is making them up. It's part of the game. It's part of the game. Tinubu is not good Jonathan. It's part of the game. If Tinubu was in opposition at a point, they want to hedge him out. At the point, maybe he was part of he was an AD governor, and he was the last man standing that remained. So all this noise that they're making doesn't make sense. And besides, let me tell you now, in all this opposition, the only guy that I believe that there are two guys that I believe that they have less baggage. That's Peter Obi and Kwankwaso. But every other person on that list, here we find that kid almost everybody in Southern Katsina that will come and tell us that what's it called now? Tinubu is doing that. Or is it Malami with all the shenanigans that he did? Or even Atiku Abubakar. So I don't see any. So and then now tell me, let the opposition tell us what alternative are they to that. Yes, we know the man is bad. Yes, we know Tinubu is not doing fine. But what alternative? What do you have? There's no alternative. They are not giving us any alternative evidence. There's no alternative. And to me, I don't. It's like they are even helping Tinubu to campaign. Because the question is, okay, yes, we know the guy is saying the economy is backing up. This one is back. This one, there's insecurity. But what alternative? What measure did you want to? What are you bringing on board? So that's my view. Talking about that, they are crying that the economy is bad. We knew the economy is bad. Buhari shouted it during Goodluck Jonathan regime. They changed Goodluck Jonathan. They brought in Buhari. But it's bad. Tinubu came on board. The economy is bad. Now they're very good enough. What are you bringing as alternative? They're not able to tell us. So, burning your energy for opposition is like wasting your strength. So I don't see any alternative among those opposition. I'm sorry. I'm not an APC person. I don't believe in it. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even vote for Tinubu in 2023. I didn't vote for him in 2023. But I must confess to you that there's no alternative. I don't see any alternative among these folks.
All right, okay. Prof, get to the hour of 10 o'clock. We'll just take the news brief and I'll bring the audience to put some thoughts into, your submission this morning. We'll come back with you after this break.
All right, thank you.
We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Are you serious? Invicta FM.
Is that Alfie playing football in the rain?
It's Toby Chio.
My goodness.
When did he grow up? That's it with kids, though.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
To jama'a, bismillah, a tattaru. Yawa, ku bar lambar mutum ɗaya daga cikin ku in tura muku kuɗin ku.
A'a, to fa, oga, me yasa?
Sai in ta biyan ƙananan caje-caje dan na tura kuɗi? To, wa ina ayya ba haka?
To kai oga, ai Smart Cash masu kaifin basira ke amfani da.
Smart me?
Smart Cash, guda ka gani ko sai ba sa caja.
Kai, haka take ba.
A ji daɗin yin kowane irin ciniki kyauta babu caji tare da Smart Cash. Ko da ko tura kuɗi ne, biyan kuɗi ko sayan katin waya. Babu wani dogon labari, aiki ne tsantsa da cikawa. Zazzage manhajar Smart Cash ko ka danna star 939 hash a yau. Smart Cash daga Airtel.
Mai gida, zo ka ji yadda jaririn ke motsi a cikina.
In ji? Lallai, da alama wannan na da ƙarfi sosai.
Mana. Da wa kake gani zai yi kama?
Da ni mana.
A'a, da ni wannan zai yi kama.
To wanda zai zo bayan wannan zai yi kama da ke.
Tabɗi, to har yaushe zan jira wancan ya zo?
Kamar shekara 2 haka.
Kaga a lokacin na samu ƙwarin jiki.
Tattaunawa tsakanin ma'aurata yana da muhimmanci. Mu tattauna.
98.9 Invicta FM. We lead, they follow.
The time is 10 o'clock.
This is Invicta 98.9 FM Kaduna, Nigeria. I am Moses Wisdom Tanko with the news brief. The federal government has tasked the 7 regional development commissions with the need for economic diversification and self-sufficiency across the regions. This was contained in a communique released by the head of Information and Public Relations, Sani Dati, after a 2-day retreat by the Ministry of Regional Development in collaboration with the Regional Development Commissions in Benin City, Edo State. According to the communique, the federal government also used the retreat to set a decisive course for accelerated regional development. The former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai on Sunday alleged a fresh plot to implicate him in criminal activities, warning of what he described as coordinated efforts to damage his reputation and frustrate his release on bail. The former governor is expected to appear before the Kaduna State High Court on Tuesday, April 21st, for a ruling on his bail application. The trial judge, Justice Darius Kobo, had fixed the date after hearing argument from counsel. But in a statement issued by his media advisor, Muyiwa Adekeye, El-Rufai warned of malicious orchestrations allegedly aimed at ensuring his continued detention. And now from the foreign scene, New Zealand has declared a state of emergency in its capital city, Wellington, as torrential rain and flash flooding drenched the city's North Island. Footage online showed vehicles submerged, trees uprooted, and houses hit by landslides. Major Andrew Little said Wellington received an extreme record of rain in less than an hour on Monday. Local authorities advised residents to hunker down with rain forecast for the next day and a half. Some flights at Wellington Airport have been cancelled, and several schools have shut their campuses. And now in the world of sports, Tottenham Hotspur have condemned the vile, dehumanizing racism aimed at defender Kevin Danso on social media following their 2-2 draw against Brighton over the weekend. An error from Danso allowed Brighton's Jorginho Rutter to equalize in stoppage time, keeping Spurs in the Premier League relegation zone. In a statement, the club said they have reported the significant and abhorrent abuse faced by 27-year-old Danso to the police and authorities. And that makes the news brief at 10. A major bulletin comes up at midday. Good morning and have a victorious day.
If stories need to be told, they should be told with precision, truth, and authority. Trust us to bring you unadulterated information on politics, economy, entertainment, sports, and all of life. From local to international news stories as they break. Invicta News at 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., only on Invicta 98.9 FM. Be victorious with us. News.
Welcome back. Still with the program Perspectives this morning on Invicta 98.9. And this morning we're having a conversation with Professor LAWAL ADEDOYIN of the BOWEN University, Iwo, in Osun State. Professor ADEDOYIN is a professor of economics, head of department of the BOWEN Department of Economics, BOWEN University, Iwo. Is also recently been conferred with the chair of the UBA of the University of Lagos, and so is a researcher and a fellow of so many callings. And he is our guest on the program Perspectives this morning. He's putting his thoughts on the economic policies of this administration and how this administration is doing since it assumed office. By May 29th, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be 3 years in office. The 3 years of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in office come May 2029. We're just, a distance away from May 29. And what has this administration given to Nigerians, for Nigerians to cheer up with? And we're saying that from public affairs analysts looking at it with where Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going with this administration, so many things are coming on board. Some have described him as very bold and has done things that will really improve the economy of the country. But again, what is opposition saying about it? And the people in 2027, what will be, what will the people go to the polls with about, a leader that they will want for themselves. Well, Prof, I'll give this, we'll bring the audience into this conversation. We'll take calls, and we're on social media. We're running on our Facebook page, Invicta 98.9, and also, our YouTube. Of course, we're all running on that. And so we'll take calls from our people. But just before I hand over, to, get the audience involved in this conversation, 3 years of Bola Ahmed Tinubu come May 29th. For you, as a professor of economics, and what you've seen with how it is playing out, are you seeing the horizon as bright for Nigeria with Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration?
I didn't get you.
Yes, I'm saying for May 29, Bola Ahmed Tinubu with 3 years in office. For you, with what is coming out and with what you have seen, is the horizon bright for Nigeria with what this administration is playing out with or coming up with?
Wait, I can't.
Okay, all right. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I hear you now.
All right. I'm saying that by May 29th, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be 3 years in office. For you, 3 years in office, is the horizon bright for Nigeria? And when Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be able to take Nigeria out of the woods that she is in now?
Oh, well, modern shows today, child shows a man. On macroeconomic, macro level, evidence suggests that Tinubu has performed better, at least compared to Buhari. But on micro, that is translating those macro gains to micro individual households, that's where the challenges are. So I believe that all we just need is some policy adjustments. And then I believe that if we reshuffle his cabinet, bring in the right people, at least we just brought in Taiwo Yedele now, and you agree with me that Taiwo Yedele is pro-people. So I believe that with the coming on board of the person like Taiwo Yedele, and then who is more or less pro-people, what's it called now? Proponent of pro-people, I believe that there is hope for Nigeria. So, if we don't know what Taiwo Yedele will do, but I believe if they roll out this pro-people policy and agenda, things will get better. So, where is still a long way. So I believe there's still hope.
Okay. All right. We open our lines now and join us on this conversation on these numbers 081 40,000 989, 081 40,000 989, or 070 87 800 989, 070 87 800 989. Join us on our Facebook page. Drop your comments there. We'll bring them all to our guest this morning, Professor LAWAL ADEDOYIN. All right, taking your calls now. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to the PROF.
Yes.
I still remember my humble self,
Engineer Emmanuel, let's hear you.
The PROF has spoken very well, but I want to ask you, in an economy where there is no subsidy, where he has set a lot of points, which Nigeria should have found it easy, and the governor says that the removal of subsidy was a blessing to them. And now if it is a blessing to them, we do not see so much in their various states with the kind of double money they are collecting. And now if the president is talking about that his reform is the result, where is the electricity he promised us uninterrupted? And he was bold in a podium to say if he did not give us uninterrupted power, when he comes for 2027, nobody should vote him. So those that are clamoring that he should come back, I said already that him from the promise which he made to Nigeria, that if there is no steady uninterrupted power, they should not vote him.
Okay.
Was he telling us that he wants to do it in Asura? It is only in his regime, since the period of democracy that we have, that the president asked them to install solar in Villa worth over 40 billion. That's what he was telling Nigeria. Then now he told us again, because we warned him with his word.
Okay.
There is opposition or no position in Nigeria and APC. Because if anyone is enjoying this administration, many are not enjoying it. Can you imagine today, fuel have increased. The one we wanted 4,000 to take us to Abuja and comes back. Today is 80,000 naira. What is our benefit?
Okay.
And it's not doing anything.
Okay.
He's the president of the house and he's thinking of second time.
Well, okay, all right. Prof, you had the first caller there. So, especially in the power sector, that if it does not restore power, uninterrupted power to the country, it should not, be voted for come 2027. Yes, Prof, can Nigeria?
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, so a promise by a politician is like a man telling a girl and telling her that my father owns the stadium. So at times, promises from politicians are not what you should rely on. But that being said, see, I want us to understand one thing. In the recent, the government, before Ahmed Bola Tinubu became the president, there are policies that govern, I'm an energy economist, there are policies that govern the energy sector. And one of those things that the unit organization, there was a deal that was signed that minimized government intervention in the power sector, especially moving around capital acquired. And Tinubu has taken first Tinubu, Jonathan, I'm not a pro-Tinubu, I'm an economist, and I face reality based on data, evidential data. This guy just about 2 weeks ago made attempt to pay off 3.3 trillion naira to offset the debt crisis in the energy sector, which has been the major factor militating against Nigeria getting power supply, better power supply. I don't want to sound like Daniel Buala that said Nigeria has better electricity now. No. But my point is this now. With that 3.3 trillion debt offset now, it positions Nigeria in a better position to have better electricity. Now, let me tell you the danger of this. The danger of changing Tinubu now, after we have paid up that 3.3 trillion naira, any other person that will come on board will start from zero. And in Nigeria, the main challenge we have in Nigeria is continuity. Once Tinubu leaves government without solving that issue, without taking it through, another person will come and all the people have to start all over again. Since they are committed to solving it by releasing 3.3 trillion naira to offset the debt in the power sector, it is wise to allow him to conclude the process. After all, none of these contenders have told us how they are going to solve power issues. None of them has given us credible evidence or proposal on what they will do with the power sector.
Okay, we have a caller here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Toyin Alabi.
Good morning. Yeah.
From Nasarawa. You see, when your guest said Tinubu is not Jonathan, I get pissed off. Jonathan said no Nigerian blood is worth his ambition. So he's telling us Tinubu's Nigerian blood worth Tinubu's ambition. If Tinubu is beating hands down by the opposition, he must look in the office. And for the electricity, he's saying Tinubu should make electricity abundant for Nigeria, be it solar or hydro. You can't be giving people 2 hours light a day and you want the country to develop. How can it develop? So Tinubu needs to give people energy, solar power, just as you said, give Nigeria energy. And Nigeria will be good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Usko, I guess Professor Alexander answered that question from his last statement. Well, the message is coming from our Facebook page. Moses, could you take some for us?
All right. From Facebook this morning, this one says, "Good morning, Mr. Toyin Alabi and the guest in the studio. My comment is about what is going on in our nation, Nigeria. May God bring somebody like late Umar Musa Yar'Adua come 2027 election. This country will definitely be great again." All right. This one says, "Good morning, Oga Toyin. In Invicta family, we pray our leaders that God should arrest their hearts for them to do the needful and give us God-fearing leaders come 2027 election." All right. And then this one says, "The vote gotten by Tinubu in the north was because of the loyalty of the northerners to late Buhari that gave him that vote. Also, there were three northern candidates. That very election. So those votes were shared between Atiku, Kwankwaso, and that of late Buhari was given to Tinubu. Now, no good northern candidate from the north, not even Tinubu, will get a chance to get 1 million votes from the north. Okay? You, to me, did not understand the Nigerian politics, and most especially the politics of the north. All right. And then one more from our Facebook. Let's see. Okay, good morning, Mr. Toyin and the guest. Mr. President has no good plans for Nigeria. And even if he comes back, Nigerians are going into slavery.
Okay.
From Victor Sule.
Okay, some messages there. And what playing out here, from these messages that we're getting is that the North feels, the pains of what this administration is giving to Nigerians. And so the North may not be, in tandem with Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. And so, Prof, looking at the politics of the North and with what the North is coming up with, can we still say that since the North has it as a block that will determine where the pendulum would swing for whoever would be president of Nigeria, that could it still work for Nigeria, for Nigeria if the North, would keep its votes to itself?
All right, let me respond to the fellow that talked about the North.
Yes.
Now, first, I'm a Northerner. I'm from Kwara.
Okay.
So, and then I've run the election in this country before. So I understand when they say the North, I just look at these people. Which North?
Which North? Okay.
That's one. Now, million. That's one. So That's one. Said publicly that this movement ticket was exactly what it was to undermine Christian population enough. So is it those minority Christians enough that will now vote for a northern Fulani man? Let's understand this politics very well. American Christians enough will prefer to vote for Tinubu than voting for Atiku if Atiku becomes the flag bearer of the party. So you understand? Tinubu is a master strategy. You should believe me, I'm not a pro-Tinubu, but when it comes to reality, when it comes to evidential evidence, practical issues that you can lay your hand on, you're able to drive it. Why did you think some people agree to Obi's running it? Why wouldn't they, at least in 2023, some people was backing that from the north. The north will not vote for Peter Obi. Why did he change his mind now? People are getting sophisticated every day. People are getting enlightened every day. Babatu LAWAL, who is from Adamawa State, is another Christian. He said in 2023 that all these people are hegemony. They will just use them after they've gotten to power. When it comes to sharing the benefits, they will chase them away. And you agree with me that Fulani population in Nigeria is less than 10 million. And the entire Fulani, from the spotted one, they are less than 10 million. People are sophisticated now that, these people, they are good Fulanis. The likes of Sanusi is my mentor, I believe the name. People about this, they are good Fulanis, they are not bad people. But from now, it will be very difficult for another Fulani man to come on board because people know who present the candidate now. You get another Fulani man. It's very difficult for other tribes in Nigeria now to vote for them because of the Fulani insurgency. That's the reality. So, I come in peace.
Yeah. All right, Professor Lawal ADEDOYIN, we'd like to thank you so very much for coming on the program with us this morning and putting your thoughts on developing stories in Nigeria. We appreciate you for coming on our program this morning. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Yes. And that will just be about the size of it on the program Perspectives this morning. Our guest has been Professor Lawal ADEDOYIN Ishola. He's a professor of economics. He's of the BOWEN University in Iwo, Osun State, putting his thoughts on economy and, of course, other developing stories of Nigeria. He's also presently has been appointed as chair of the UBA Finance, chief occupier or chair occupier of the UBA Professional Chair of Finance, University of Lagos. He's been our guest on the program this morning. Okay, Moses, thank you for connecting us with the people this morning. And thank you, too, for staying with us on the program Perspectives. We'll come back tomorrow with Perspectives. Good morning.
We play R&B, jazz, reggae, hip-hop, inspirational talk, and gospel radio. We rule the air.
Great. Invicta FM.
Ki huta mama, yanzu na zan wanke maki fararen kayan nan naki.
To, amma ba wanke su kawai zaki ba. Ki tabbatar kin yi amfani da haifo domin yana cire duk wani takaddarin tabo yana kuma sa fararen kayana su ƙara haske kalkal.
Haka ne.